Welcome back, boys and girls, to another edition of Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood. Tonight, our first guest is a special friend of the neighborhood. We have Brian Klug from Vision Line Media. Brian is kind of the brains behind Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood. He does all the digital proceeding, everything that you're seeing. Brian started here. We had the idea a while ago, discussed it, and I wanted to bring him on as one of our inaugural guests so he can talk about what he does, how he works in the industry, and all the wonderful accomplishments he's had. How you doing, Brian?
Thanks,
Welcome
man.
to the neighborhood.
Thanks, Mr. Mortgage. Nice to be here.
Oh, it's great. So, tell the neighborhood who you are and what you do and how you love life.
Absolutely. My name is Brian Klug. My company is Vision Line Media. I've been around since 2001 here in South Jersey. We're a multimedia firm, which in just plain English means that we do web properties, search engine optimization, just about everything having to do with websites and web marketing for businesses. And we actively manage a little over 1,000 clients throughout the country.
Nice.
So, yeah, we got our start in 2001. It was tough times, man. It was like, that story, I mean, if you want to hear it, I'll tell you. It's a little crazy, but yeah, it's been good, man. We've been really blessed, and I've been really blessed to meet some really cool people around South Jersey that are in business, like yourself, that you know, their passions go just beyond business, some to charitable efforts and things like that. So it's probably being my own boss was the best thing I ever did, man.
Nice. And I know that you work, maybe not primarily with realtors, but you do have a lot of clients that are realtors that you work with. So can you tell everybody kind of what you do for realtors and how you help them out to get exposure?
Yeah, so real estate's kind of one of our big vertical markets. We never planned on getting involved in real estate from the beginning, from the get-go, but we just sort of fell into it because there was this need where I'm sure every real estate agent that's watching this could attest to all the fads that come and go, these lead generation programs that you subscribe to, and they set you up with a website and they claim to drive leads to your business, and you know, 9 times out of 10 those leads aren't even real, or the day you miss a payment, your website goes away.
Richard Gozinia at gfy.com. Yup.
So, being in the web field, there are certain principles, guiding principles, and best practices, and things you should be doing for every web client. And we said, why don't we just like package this up for real estate and say, hey, real estate agent, this is what you should be doing based on best practices for search engine optimization, Google marketing, things like that, and put a package in front of the agents that makes sense. It's not based on fluff or false promises. It's just, this is how the internet works. This is how you get to the top of the search engines. This is how you farm a specific zip code or a geography. This is how you make your presence known in your neighborhood. And you know, we've worked with people like yourself in the mortgage biz, title biz, to help co-op some of the funding for these folks as well. Obviously, you know, one hand washes the other. The more agents that can refer business to you, the better, and vice versa. So that's sort of how that vertical arose for us. And I think we probably have maybe about 30 clients in that vertical currently, and growing quite a bit.
Sure. And I know you don't have to say the agents' names or anything like that, but when we were talking about agents that you work with, it's some of the higher producing agents in the South Jersey area. You're not talking about people that no one would know. The names that you service,
yes,
some of them are very well known and people look up to. So you have definitely contributed to their success.
Yeah, and that's been some of it. What's interesting is that obviously the larger agents had the funds and they had the wherewithal to go ahead and execute a program like that. But what I try to do is explain to even the smaller agents that you can do this. This doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. Sure. It does take work though. It takes work on our part. It takes work on the agent's part. But when you're willing to put in the work, you can get the same results that these big guys are getting and spending fortunes, but you can do it in your own backyard. You can farm just one town, one school district, one zip code, and you can be very, very successful with it. One of the most affirming things that we ever had come up about our program for real estate agents was I was sitting with, I won't say his name, but he is the largest real estate agent in the greater Philadelphia area out of an office over in Philadelphia. He popped his head in while I was meeting with an agent over there, and he sat down and he said, I want to hear about your program. And I went through it, and he goes, that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 10 years. And all the other agents looked in the room and go, we want that.
Exactly.
But it's not rocket science.
No.
It's just hard work. It's hard work and it's discipline, right? I mean, search engine optimization just doesn't happen overnight. It's discipline. It's about content creation. It's about sticking to a plan and executing. And honestly, if it was easy, I think everyone would do it. But that's what separates the good from the bad.
Yeah. The one thing that you didn't mention that I was really impressed with, I don't know if you want to talk about your proprietary stuff, but you have technology that follows the consumer on the internet, which I thought was awesome, and I never understood that's what was going on until you explained it to me, because it had happened to me from other vendors before.
Well, yeah, and what's interesting is it's not really proprietary, but what's interesting is most people don't understand it or how it works. And what I like to do is explain to people how you can create a network, just like you and I network together. We're out there going to meetings, we're pressing flesh, we're shaking hands, we're going out to dinners, we're having breakfast with people, meeting different people and networking. You can do the equivalent of that online.
Right.
We can make it so that a real estate agent, their preferred mortgage vendor, their title person, if you go to any one of their sites, you see all three of their ads. And that's where we take offline networking and bring it online, right?
Right.
So that tie those three people together. Why aren't we helping each other? We help each other in business every day. We call each other up. I say, Jim, I got somebody for you. Or you say, Brian, I got a lead for you. Why aren't we doing that online?
Sure.
So, and that was really, the impetus for putting those type of things in place. One of the other things people don't realize as well is that they think that internet advertising is terribly expensive. They say, oh man, if I buy Zillow leads, I got to come in with a couple grand a month just to buy part of a zip code, part of the time.
Yeah.
I said, well, did you know that you could be on, I could put you on Zillow.com, Realtor.com, HomeFinder.com, Apartments.com, you name it, all for $0.00. Heck, I can put you on Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC, $0.00.
Right.
Within any zip code in America you choose, and you only pay for the people that click it and come to your ad. And people their minds are blown. They're just like, wait, I can do that? I'm like, yes. You can spend a couple $100 and show your ad 500,000 times.
All over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah.
So there are things that I think have been kept from the real estate industry simply because there's these big players involved, your Zillows of the world, your realtors, that really have an interest in pushing one specific product, and the traditional search engine optimization, pay-per-click marketing, they've kind of gone by the wayside for the real estate agents. And when we tell them about this, they said, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know it was so cheap. And it's a great, it feels good to be able to introduce them to those kind of tools and make them look huge.
Yeah, make them look much bigger than they are. Make them look like they have a huge marketing staff when they really don't.
Without having to spend a ton of money.
Sure. We also talk about a lot of personal stuff here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I know from being in the networking group we are is the Camp No Worries. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you do?
I'd love to talk about Camp No Worries.
Absolutely.
Nothing would make me happier, actually. So Jim and I are in a networking group together, and we have adopted a charity called Camp No Worries. Camp No Worries is an oncology camp for kids with cancer. Every year it's put on 100% volunteer, for free. They put about 100 kids through a summer camp program where they can swim, canoe, fish, do all the cool things you can imagine you would do at a summer camp. But these kids have cancer, and some of them are in the process of their treatments. Some of them are terminal and might not make it to next year. But this is a huge, huge event for them to go to, and they get to take their siblings with them for free too.
Right.
So they're not even separated from their family, which is really cool too.
Which is awesome.
So what we do every year is we try to raise money. Every $1,000 you raise, you can send one kid to camp for a week. There's doctors on staff, there's nurses on staff. It's incredibly safe place for these kids. And year over year, we usually raise about $40,000 a year to send kids to camp. And it's something that really weighed on my heart, because our family, my wife's got this giant family, right? So she's got like 1 million cousins.
Sure.
And all her cousins have little kids, and her cousins' kids and my kids just grew up together as if they are first cousins, even though they're not.
Right.
And one of them, as a child, had pediatric cancer. He had leukemia. And I remember how heartbroken I was to see this little guy, undergoing, chemotherapy and everything. It really broke my heart. I tell everybody, it really changed me for the rest of my life, how I view You know, I got a real hard passion for sick kids.
Yeah.
So we go out of our way to really do everything we can for this camp.
Yeah.
Especially since it's volunteer, it's 100% nonprofit. There's nobody taking a salary, nobody taking a dime. So anybody that's interested, I would love to tell you more about Camp No Worries. We're gonna have a big fundraiser coming up, and I'll make sure everybody gets an invite to it. I'm sure Mr. Mortgage will be there.
We're gonna be promoting
absolutely.
the event 100% for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
It's an awesome. I haven't really been involved with it yet, but I really dig that stuff. I love working with the homeless and children and all that stuff. So I can't wait to actually be a part of it.
Well, I'll take you on a tour when camp starts up in July. We'll go on a tour.
Love it.
The first time I toured the camp, I'm telling you, I just walked out, sat in my car, and bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
Because it was sadness, but it was happiness at the same time. Because it was just so great to see the smile on these kids' faces, and you knew that they were so sick, and some of them weren't going to make it. But it was just like, you know, it was so powerful. And I think that if there's any organization like that, where you know that every nickel you raise for them is helping somebody directly, it's awesome, man. It's awesome.
We do a thing each year. We adopt a couple children, and we had somebody who came to us, and they didn't tell me the full story about the child. They just said he was sick and in the hospital, and he didn't like sports because I have all the sports connections, but he was like a gamer. So, you know, we wound up getting in touch with the Philly Fusion. They gave us this swag bag and gave the kid for Christmas, and he wound up having brain cancer, and he was in Children's Hospital. And I called his mom in July to talk to him, to his mom, and she told me that he had passed away. But she said, like, it was his greatest Christmas. He wore the headset all the time, and I was just like, I get chills talking about it right now. But that's why I like to do that stuff. You know what I mean? And like, it's a horrible thing. I can't imagine what it would be like to have a son that passes away. But like, for me, a guy who does mortgages or does regular stuff, to just be able to impact somebody like that and be there to know, like she said, you made his last Christmas awesome. No better thing. Like, nothing I could do would ever be better than that.
You're absolutely. I mean, I feel the same way. That I could close the biggest deal in the world, and it still wouldn't be like.
Nah, never make me feel.
Exactly. It's just perspective, right, man? It's like what really matters, what doesn't.
Absolutely. So. All right. So now I got a question for you. 5 minutes with any person, alive or dead, ever in the history of the world. Who's your person you want to have a 5-minute conversation with?
It's gonna be pretty easy for me. My father died. It'll be 5 years ago in another week.
Okay.
He was my mentor. He was everything to me, man. It was just like couldn't have had a closer relationship with anybody on the planet. My father, and I know a lot of guys will tell. Some people have told me like, "Hey, man, I understand how much your dad meant to you." And a lot of guys will tell me like, "Hey, I didn't have that kind of relationship with my father. I didn't know my dad or." My dad and I were like, I called him every day of my life. Personal questions, business questions. He was just a wealth of knowledge, and he was such an interesting guy. He had traveled the world. He'd been in every continent. He'd probably been in 70 different countries. He met all kinds of people from all kinds of diverse backgrounds. I used to joke our house was like the United Nations, like, because people were just from all over the world that spoke different languages. We were coming and going. He had friends from China, Argentina, Korea. They were always coming through our house, and we'd take them on tours. And we'd take them to Philadelphia to go see things, and we'd tour them around. And it was just, he was one of these guys that just a pure Renaissance kind of man. He knew a little bit about everything, which was kind of cool. Had wild stories to tell you. But I just like, everything I've ever done in my life is I just say, can I at least be as good as my dad? Because I know I can't be better.
Right. That's awesome. What did he do for a living?
So my dad, that's interesting too. He was an electrical engineer by degree. He started he grew up in a small town in western PA, and his options were military or the steel mill. But he was hella smart, and he wanted to go to college, so he had to do it all on his own. He worked in the steel mill in the summer, made enough money to go to college, had to actually sell his car to make his last car payment. Ended up working for RCA, which back then was like the biggest company on the planet. And then he had worked a couple different places. He had worked for some defense contractors, and that really took him around the world. He got to see all kinds of interesting places, interesting cultures. So he had some really good perspective on just on life and on the world, on people.
Yeah.
He loved people. He
That's awesome.
Loved people, man. So I'd give anything for like 5 minutes.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the interview with Brian. If they need to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch
Yeah,
with you?
if you want to reach out, visionlinemedia.com anytime, or ask Mr. Mortgage, he knows where to find me.
Awesome, Brian. Thanks for
Thanks,
coming
buddy.
to the neighborhood.
So good to see you,
Have
man.
a great night.
Thanks.
We'll be back. Welcome back to the neighborhood, boys and girls. We have another special guest here for you. One of our awesome employees here at the office, Natalie Hart. She's back for a second trip at Envoy Mortgage, and we're gonna have to talk to her. Go up to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Awesome.
Am I the first woman in the neighborhood yet?
I think
I'm
you're the
curious.
first. You're the first. No, you're not, because
Okay.
we had a former client, Stephanie Booker, on last week.
Okay.
We had another woman, but that was just like a rough one. That wasn't
Okay.
actually for the
Okay.
thing. But Stephanie was actually here.
Okay.
You're the first female employee that we have.
All right,
here. So
perfect.
that's perfect.
And was I the first female employee loan officer hired here?
You're gonna make me think right
Okay.
now. On put my
Sorry, you
spot.
should
I
be
don't
answering the
remember.
questions, not me.
I think so. I think
Okay.
you were the first female. Well, you were hired
Roundabout.
simultaneously with Sarah, and she was also
Yeah.
a loan officer. So we co-habitually hire female loan officers. So you are new to the mortgage industry, or newer to the mortgage industry.
Yes.
Tell everybody how you've transitioned from a role dealing with the public as a bartender to now dealing with the public as a loan officer, and how that's affected you and how you're taking it.
So it was a big adjustment, I would say, because I'm used to face-to-face interaction. Like I would see at the bar, hundreds of people in a week time, and then to go from that to like nothing and then being over the phone, it's definitely a different transition as far as that goes. But it's still kind of the same. You're still connecting with people, you're still building relationships and building rapport and trust, and so it's just a little bit of a different kind of a vibe, just because you can't look at somebody in the face, and I'm big on eye contact, so like I do miss that.
Sure.
Because I feel like you can connect more with somebody, or it's just easier to pull the conversation when you're kind of sitting down with somebody. So I would say that's probably like the biggest, part of it.
And so far, what has been your favorite part of the job?
Going to closings.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, kind of like getting that clear to close, and then being able to like tell the clients like, look, we're good to go. Like you tell them they're approved with conditions, they don't really get that. They still stress out. They don't really understand like, but once you say, look, we're at the home stretch, we got the clear to close, you're good to go, you're going to be moving in the house, and then all that kind of stress kind of like just comes off their plate, and you kind of get to be a part of that. It's like, it's really rewarding. So yeah.
For sure. So what was one thing that you thought about the industry before you got into it that now you don't believe anymore, or you were afraid of that now you're not afraid of anymore?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I was not expecting, and maybe it's because it's here, but I was kind of expecting it to be very cutthroat. Like I was expecting for like you go into an office and like everybody's like, no, that's my realtor. Yeah, exactly. That's my realtor. Stay away.
Right.
Or like it was very territorial. Like, oh, you're looking for realtors at this office. Wait a minute, I look for realtors at that office. But and I'm not saying that it's not like that at some other places, because I've heard stories where different mortgage companies are very cutthroat. But here it's more of like, we're like a family, and like we grow and learn off of each other's experiences. We help each other out, especially if we've gone through a certain circumstance. And, I feel like it's very interactive and everybody's just willing to help versus, like being like, nope, I don't want to help you succeed because then that'll impede my success. It's not like that at all. Everybody wants to see everybody kind of build and grow and do well, and everybody's equally as excited when you have a closing or a new a new loan come in or submission or something. So I think that would probably be my biggest misconception, because I thought it was going to be very like territorial and cutthroat,
Nice.
and it hasn't been, which is really refreshing.
Nice. And you and your family have participated with Second Saturday with Envoy,
Yes.
and we've had some fun.
Mhm.
So kind of tell everybody that's out there what you like about Second Saturday, and how that kind of grew on you as an option.
Yeah, so I mean, I've always kind of wanted to do something to give back, just never really knew how to facilitate that, and that's probably an excuse, because I'm sure I could have done it myself, but it was nice that you kind of took the guesswork out and picked, you know, the activity or went with a realtor suggestion based on what, you know, they were really passionate about. I know we missed a couple because of scheduling conflicts, because my kids play a lot of sports and stuff, and that obviously takes, you know, most of our weekends. But we were, you know, lucky enough to go clean up the park in Philly. And it was nice to be able to, like, my kids looked forward to it. Like, they were like, when are we going? And then now it's like, when's the second Saturday? What's the next one set up? Like, we have, you know, the shirts, the second Saturday shirts that, like, actually, literally 2 nights ago, my daughter was like, look what shirt I'm in. You know, she, like, wore it to bed the other night. And, you know, so, but that, you know, that was really nice that it was not only could we give back, but it was a way that, you know, I could teach my kids, you know, what that's like and how that feels to kind of, you know, be able to be a part of something bigger than, you know, doing something for others, you know, and the fact that they loved it and embraced it and couldn't wait to do it again just made it that much more, you know, special.
And, you know, you got a big family. How are you finding the ability or the time to juggle Natalie the mom versus Natalie the loan officer, for people out there that are kind of, you know, looking to get into that?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle for me at first, just because I was so used to working nights. I've worked nights for 20 years. So to go from a night job to a day job, and, you know, I was there for my kids for all their milestones, all their things that they had. So it was definitely a big transition to be able to, like, you know, work during the day. I would say if I didn't have my husband to help out, you know, he took on, like, a lot more responsibility with helping me get dinner started, because if I'm here later at night, or a lot of times the kids know, like, even sometimes when I get home from work, I'm not done work, so then I might go up to my office and, like, make phone calls, might have to talk to a client, might have to talk to a realtor or something like that, but everybody kind of knows that, you know, this is mommy's new career and that they want to see me succeed. So they all kind of, like, know their role. And it's nice that they're old enough to kind of be able to understand that. You know, because if they were 3 and 4, they definitely wouldn't get it. But yeah, that's kind of, you know, how we've been able to adjust, you know. And that's one of the big reasons why I did want to get out of the bar business, because I did miss out on a lot of, like, you know, my kids' things that they would do after school, because 4 nights a week I was at the bar. So I didn't get to go to school plays and things like that unless I got coverage at work, and that wasn't always a possibility. So this was nice transition, because I could have more of a work-life balance, you know.
Nice. And, okay, so let's say you're a realtor and you're watching Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood. Why should they give Natalie Hart a call and trust you with their client's future home purchase?
I mean, I don't want to brag, but no, I'll
brag
a little bit. No, I think because being in the service industry for as long as I have, you know, obviously behind the bar selling a different product, but still selling myself at the end of the day and giving great customer service. Being able to relate to a client, being able to read what their needs are, and being able to cater to them in that way. I feel like, you know, you're building relationships not only with the realtors, but these clients are trusting you with the biggest purchase that they're ever going to make in their entire life. So you have to build that trust right off the bat, and just kind of saying, like, hey, you know, what's your credit score? What's this? What's that? And being very, like, militant. Like, I try to find some kind of common ground. I try to, like, make it more personalized, tell them about my family, make them feel a little bit more comfortable, you know, and then just kind of guide them through the whole process. I almost over-explain a lot of stuff. But I know that when I got into this business, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. You know, even as a homeowner, I didn't know. You know, I didn't even know what mortgage insurance was, and, you know, like, I didn't know how to explain that to a client. But now I do, and I feel like I'm very transparent. I like to set expectations right from the gate, and I like to, you know, explain the whole process from start to finish, so that they know exactly what they're getting themselves into. And I feel like it takes that stress and a little bit of that anxiety off their plate if I kind of, like, let them know every little step that they're going to kind of come across throughout the whole process and the transaction. Now, obviously, we can't foresee everything.
Nah, come on.
That is going to happen
that we don't know about.
Every once in a while,
you get blindsided.
You might get blindsided by a septic tank, you know, that you didn't know about until you were 21 days into the contract.
Right.
These things happen.
We have somebody that got $100,000 in Tanzanian shilling as their
I heard about
as their down payment money.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I did hear
out
about
of
that.
nowhere. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it.
or you're gonna get a gift check for like 6 different people in the same transaction. Yeah, it's just, you never know what's gonna happen.
Always,
It's like,
it's always
loans
fun.
they're like a snowflake, right? Every loan is different.
That's
so
right.
that's what I'm
And
learning.
keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
Makes the
absolutely.
time go by fast. Not a lot of.
And it breaks up the monotony too, because I feel like if you're doing the same thing over and over again, like every loan was the same, you just get stale and be stagnant, you know. You
I
just-
could use a couple of easy ones. Right?
No, I agree.
The
I
heart
agree.
can't take all this crazy.
That's true.
But
That's true.
all right, last question, personal question.
Okay.
Tonight you go home, you found out you won $1 million. What's the first thing you're spending money on?
That's a big family vacation.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean.
Where? Come on, you can't just go big on vacation. Where are you going?
God. So we did just get back from Disney, but it was just me and the girls, and
Yeah.
the boys didn't get to come with us.
And you were actually there for.
And we were there for,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
we were there for a cheer competition, so we didn't really do Disney the way I would like to do Disney. But I would like to do Disney and then jump on a Disney cruise and then do that and then like maybe see a couple islands.
Okay.
Like make it like a,
You
like
could
a,
do that
like
for
a 20.
way less than $1 million.
Yeah, oh no, but that, you didn't say I was spending
No,
$1 million
no,
on
you're
that.
good,
You
you're
said,
right.
what's the first thing I'm doing?
I agree.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
right after that, I'm telling my mom she's quitting her job.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, for
Awesome.
sure, absolutely,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks for coming on
Thank
the
you for
neighborhood.
having me.
Natalie Hart, MLO with Envoy Mortgage, and we'll be back with the next guest. Welcome back to the neighborhood, boys and girls. We have our final guest of the night, Jim Cicchetti from Trinity Credit Solutions. Jim is a miracle worker. He takes people that have been very, very bad with their credit, and he cleans it all up and waves his magic wand, and cha-ching, suddenly you are mortgage eligible.
Sure, yeah, no, I wish it was only me. I wish I was that good now, but our team, definitely.
We will not make you give all of your trade secrets away for, the magic spell that you cast on the credit report and everything that you do. We can't have that happen. But how long have you been doing the credit repair, and how did you get into this?
We've been my business partner and I, Drew, we've been in the debt sector for probably, he's a little older than I am, but total probably like 25 years. Before we started Trinity, we were working with another debt settlement company. And the two went hand in hand, but we've been doing the credit repair exclusively for about 3.5 years now.
Nice. And how many clients do you think you come in contact with as a whole?
Yeah, no, I would say not enough. But no. Last year we touched about 3,600 people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So all from our realtor and mortgage loan officers, our referral partners.
Right. And we do some networking together, but I know that you are kind of a master networker. So tell everybody in the neighborhood, if they are a self-employed person who is not getting out to the public enough, again, don't give away your trade secrets.
Sure.
But what are some of your thought processes on how you get out there and shake hands and kiss babies?
Right, yeah, no, there's a meme out there and it says, stop begging people you know to support your business.
Yes.
Get out there and network. They're
Yeah.
gonna be your biggest supporters.
Sure.
And honestly, I wish there was, obviously I'm good with people and that definitely helps, but I've seen people who, aren't good with people.
Yeah.
We know them, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
We've discussed them.
We won't mention names on the air,
We
but-
won't, but it's a volume game, you know? Yesterday I went to breakfast and dinner for a networking thing. It's definitely a volume game. I also like to say that repetition leads to reputation.
Gotcha.
So if they see you all the time at networking events or on social media that you're at networking events, it leads you to, oh, all right, well, he's still around.
Right,
He's still
right.
doing the things that he's doing.
He must be half decent if he's not out of business.
Yeah, and he's not
Gotcha.
afraid to show his face.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Which, when you're in the debt industry, that's one of the things that
Sure.
definitely helps out.
Yeah, and right now in the world we live in with the internet and all the stuff we have, it's a fairly transparent society. So if you sucked, everybody would know it.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right. And especially, now we're branching out. You saw I was in Metuchen yesterday, which is North Jersey. But in terms of our sphere right now, South Jersey, Philadelphia, that's a very tight-knit community.
Right.
If we weren't doing what we said we were doing, I wouldn't be showing my, you know what I mean? We'd be in different parts of the country,
I
but.
have that list, by the way.
Right,
And I probably
exactly,
the people that aren't doing this,
exactly.
just in case.
Well, we'll talk about that later, but.
Santa's no list.
Right. People, oh, that's the credit guy, don't go to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't be, last year I wouldn't have golfed 30 times, you know what I mean? Like if it wasn't that, and I wish it was, just volume, but we're actually helping people get mortgage ready, as we like to say. And it's one thing to, sell the sizzle,
Right.
but you do at some point
Yeah.
need to have the steak there.
If you can't deliver, it don't matter how wonderful,
personable I
right,
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Eventually, you gotta
Yeah,
come
the
through.
roosters come to roost or whatever it is. So yeah, that's the other thing. Luckily, we've got processes in place now, and we're able to sort of fine tune the way we operate with our clients that, knock on wood, it seems to be working,
Right.
you know what I mean? And it seems to be getting easier, and yeah, it's making our lives,
Nice.
even better, yeah.
Nice. So, what you can't really give somebody, oh, this is the secret, but if somebody says, I have really bad credit, can you give me one or two tips on things I should be doing every month, things I should be aware of every month to improve my bad credit?
All right.
Kind of paint with a broad brush, but.
Right. So if we could have, just the bullet points come up as I say them. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
But, yeah, just number one. No. Honestly, most people, I think it was actually Chris, he had asked me, what's a good client for you? And I said, all right, well, let me tell you what a bad client is. Someone with their cards are maxed out, they've got late payments, they've got, recent late payments, and the last payment, is late. We hear the tow truck repoing the car as we're
Right.
talking to them. That's a cash problem, right? The 35% of your credit score is your balances. So, or 30%, it's 30 to 35%. You want to make sure that your balances are under 30% of your available credit.
Of your limit.
There's been so many times I've spoken to just friends of mine who, hey, I have a credit problem, and I go, are your cards maxed out? Yeah, okay, well,
That's your problem.
that's the start of not being a credit problem, being a cash problem. Pay your bills on time. That's another thing. If, I don't know how many times we've had our clients go, oh, I missed a payment. Well, I don't care if you make the minimum. Obviously, we don't want you to just make the minimum, but you gotta make your payments on
Right,
time,
right.
And if you have some collection accounts, call them up and see what they negotiate for, and try
Right.
and work out a deletion agreement with them that, not one red penny goes to them unless they delete the account off of there. That's really the
Sure.
I wish, there's a lot more in depth than, that whole process could take months, what I just laid out
Right.
for people. But yeah, budget your money, make your payments on time. Those are the two main things, and don't overutilize your cards.
Now, one of the common misconceptions that I've heard people say is that all credit is the same. And then when I look at people's credit reports, you can have someone who's got 2 cars and 2 student loans, and for 7 years they haven't missed a payment or haven't been late. All that. They got 1 revolving debt, it's a $500 limit, they got $497 on the card, and they were late 30 days one time. That racks their score 100 points.
Oh yeah, I even knew someone, they had 7, 8 cards, all high limits for over a decade, you know what I mean? Amex, all the Amexes, the Chases. They missed 1 payment because they were switching banks and they had forgot to they set it up auto pay. Just
Right.
zero out my account, I don't want pay any interest, which is great. But they relied on, the auto pay, and they were at an 830. It was the highest score I had seen from someone trying to deal with credit repair, and their score dropped down 110 points to a 720
Right.
from 1 late payment. And
One
they had
card.
called, brought it back to the account back to 0. I think it was, they had put $100 on there on a $10,000 card.
Right.
and
A
$110
$17 payment was late because they missed it. Yep.
Now, luckily, we were able to get that removed through,
Your smooth talking.
Exactly. Well, not even that. It's just processes and hey, listen, I've been with you guys for over 15 years here. You've given me $15,000. Let's knock this one late payment off of there. And luckily, they did it. Amex is pretty good with that stuff because you got to have. At one point, you had to have good credit. And this person had great credit. But yeah, like I said, we've seen one. And then another thing that gets you is all 3 different bureaus can weigh a late
on their
or a
algorithm
negative
differently. Oh yeah, that's one thing. I understand that not every debt reports to every bureau. So you can have an 800 credit score Equifax and a 610 on TransUnion because they might report, a lot of places report to TransUnion and not to other things. But I've looked at people where it does report to everyone and there's still a 50-point difference between the 3 scores, even though all the accounts report to everything. Because some of them weigh some of it different. And I used to work in the furniture industry and I would get referrals from people who would be buying houses. And then after we closed on the mortgage, I would give them back to the furniture salesperson that referred it to me, and I pulled their credit. They're a 730 credit score. We just got done their mortgage. Now they want to go buy a house. They go to Raymore and Flanagan to buy a house, and somehow they're a 605 credit score on that algorithm that they're using from Wells Fargo or Synchrony Bank to do their stuff.
And not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I'm in the school of thought, just like with your taxes. If everyone looked at the tax code, the thousands of pages that it is, they have no idea. I'm in the school of thought, they don't want you to know how. Like, there's no one that goes, okay, well, this is how this works. This is how that. No one knows that. It's all proprietary.
And it's even worse sometimes. Like, I've gone to quite a few credit seminars and presentations, and I go to one, and they're like, absolutely, positively, do this every time. And I go to the next one, they're like, never do this. And it's the same thing.
Whoever tells you to do that is not
stupid. And I'm like, what? The guy just said absolutely do that. There's people that tell you, well, max your card all the way out and wait till the first day that it's due and pay it all the way down. And other people are like, do this and pay it every 10 days instead of 30 days because that shows your... And I don't think really...
Well, I mean, and then you look at like people, and I like Dave Ramsey. I love people budgeting, and you should only buy something if you have the cash for it. I do like that theory, but good luck doing that and trying to buy. No, Dave Ramsey said I don't need any revolving credit.
Right.
I don't need installment loans. I closed out my student loans and paid them early. Okay, well that's great, but how are you? That was 2 years ago. What's been going on since then? You know what I mean? And unless you prove to someone that you know how to handle money, they're not going to do that. But
a lot of people say, "Oh, I buy everything cash," and then when you need to use your credit, you don't have credit, or you have a 610 credit score because you have one trade line that's a car or something like that. No credit cards. I don't have any debt. Well, guess what? When you talk to really wealthy people, this is totally on another tangent.
Sure.
When you talk to really wealthy people, all of them have debt. Most of them have a ton of debt. They use their debt well. They use their debt to make that money. They don't use their debt.
They get assets. They're not, we're buying a car that's depreciating, as we speak now.
We're off the
that isn't a tax write-off.
On Mr. Mortgage.
Yeah, so sorry. We're getting into Mr. Robot. Yeah.
We got one question. The one personal question, we always do a different one every time. So you could pick any musician, present, past, to come to your house and play 2 songs. Who would it be, and what are the 2 songs?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's got to be the original, like Grateful Dead. You know what I mean, with Jerry and all of them.
I never would have guessed.
No, here we go. The one time and then it would be Althea, which is one of my favorite it's from 1980, new Grateful Dead songs, and then they do a thing live where it's a mashup of 2 songs, Scarlet Begonias and Fire on the Mountain.
The only song I know is Touch of Grey from Grateful Dead.
And you want to know something interesting? People that are your age, the elderly
I saw
people,
Grateful Dead a couple times. I was just so high, I don't remember anything.
Well, you know what? And
But
Jerry
I
was
didn't know
probably
the music.
just
I
as
only
high.
went there because everybody was partying.
I watched
Probably not Mr. Mortgage
my buddy-
etiquette right there, but
No, my buddy who got me into it, he's around your age too.
Yeah.
Who is a deadhead, but anyone that's his age or around your age, they're called touch heads because Touch of Grey
you're
was.
really a Grateful Dead.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. But that was the Touch of Grey was the only song they ever had on MTV.
Right.
And that's what blew them up from doing RFK to selling out the veterans and stuff like that. But yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jimbo, for
Thank
coming
you,
to the
man. That was
neighborhood.
actually good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Had a great time.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week for Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood. Welcome back, everybody, to the neighborhood. We have a special bonus segment tonight. We have someone, we haven't talked about the Harvest Group here on the show yet.
Oh,
We
okay.
haven't yet talked about it, but we are members of a professional group, coaching group called The Harvest. And I have Ann Casey here tonight with us for the first time meeting. How you doing, Ann?
Good to see you.
Nice, welcome to the neighborhood. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do and what brings you around the neighborhood.
Yeah, sure. So as Jim said, my name is Ann Casey. I am with Currency Trade System. I am a day trader of currencies, commodities, indexes, and cryptocurrencies. And so if you're not familiar with the term day trading, what that means is I buy and sell quickly. So most of my trades close within usually about 5 minutes. So I'm in and out quickly. I can make money on the way up, exactly,
Yeah.
and money on the way down. I do represent the education program that I came through to learn how to do this. And so that's really what I'm out promoting is if people want to take a look at a way to make more money, there's an education opportunity here. We do offer a trial program where people can test it out, see what it's like, and make a decision before they go into education. So that's professional, and then personal, I have 2 fabulous daughters.
Awesome.
They're 20 and 18 years old, and focus of my life, they're fantastic.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. So from a business standpoint, when you first heard about crypto, what was your impression then to now?
That's a really good question. Nobody asked me that. I think everybody had the same experience initially, like, what is this? What's going on?
I'm still, honestly, I'm still a little hesitant. Like, yeah, I don't really know. You're buying this thing that nobody knows where it is and nobody can trace it. And supposedly it's the most secure thing in the world. But if somebody hacks it, you're gone. And if you lose your password, you're beat. So,
Is that any
Scares
different
me.
than like your bank account or your credit card?
nah.
Right.
But that's my thing. Well, there's a little bit of a difference because if the bank gets hacked, I can talk to the bank. If your crypto wallet gets hacked, who do you talk to?
Right, and that is, I get it, that is a concern, and that's why crypto wallets, that's why there's a lot of recommendations
Sure.
about how to keep it super secure and how to navigate that. But what a lot of people are kind of freaked out is, it's like, it's not real money. None of it's real money
Nothing's
except for
real
the
money.
dollar bills that we have in our pocket.
And even that ain't
that's
real
just
money.
a piece of paper.
Right. The only thing I know that's real money is the gold bars or the silver coins that you have that has a
Bingo.
tangible asset.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But I remember when I first heard about it, I was like, that's some Ponzi scheme stuff. That's not real. But now, I mean, listen, anything that you can buy and sell and make money at, like the NFTs and everything that people are talking about, my childhood was Pete Rose rookie cards and Mike Schmidt rookie cards.
Yep.
And there was nothing crazier or more ridiculous than paying $1,400 for a piece of cardboard. So I get it. I get where it's coming from. It's just it's a new and changing thing, and of course, at least the people that I'm contemporaries with are not really good with change. You know.
I agree, and I think that's a challenge for most people, is this new thing, and I don't really get it, and I'm comfortable with the stuff that I've always done. But I think now the world is changing so much faster than it did when we were growing up. Like, young people probably don't think anything about the
Not at
pace
all.
and how things change,
Yeah.
but for us in our age group, I know you're younger than I am, but similar age group,
Not much younger than you.
oh, we've talked about
Yeah.
this, right?
No, I'm not that much younger than you.
Do we want to admit it on
Yeah,
here?
I'll be 50 in a couple weeks.
Okay, I'm
Couple months.
53.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I was
little bit younger,
floored that you were that age because I don't think you look that age.
It's the Irish skin, you know what I mean? It gives you the baby face. If I shave my beard, I would probably get carded.
So the young people, they are comfortable with the pace
Right.
that things move. Like my kids process things like this because they're used to it. And for us, it's kind of like, hold up a little bit. I got to take a little bit of time with this. But I would encourage anybody, because things are only going to get faster and faster and faster, to, you know, try to keep up and read a lot and be knowledgeable about what's going on and the things that are coming up. Doesn't mean you have to get into crypto or get into NFTs, but just be knowledgeable around
Yeah,
it.
yeah. What was the first crypto coin you bought?
Doge.
Okay, all right.
Which is kind of funny, right? Because it's the, you know, it was the joke initially. But, and it's a great story because it was based on my daughter who was 16 or 15 at the time. And I had not bought any crypto yet and didn't really feel comfortable around it. And she was like, you got to buy this thing, Doge. And I'm like, Doge? What is this? What's going on? And she was like, Mom, just trust me, just do it. And I did. And, you know, of course, we all know what happened with that.
Sure.
And so I made a really nice profit with it. She also got in on the whole, it was AMC and...
The mega stocks that we're going through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
through like the Reddit stuff and everything. She got in on all that. Now that I did not get in on. But, you know, she had her finger on the pulse of things that I didn't know was happening.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, the young people are really valuable in
Absolutely.
getting information for us.
Absolutely. Are you doing TikTok?
No, are you?
Yeah, come on.
I
Actually, my 16-year-old daughter is walking around here because I hired her to do my TikTok stuff so she can do it, because I don't really know. Cole, our marketing director here, is 24 years old. He knows TikTok. That's why we have him as a marketing guy, because the stuff that I know is good for my contemporaries, but you know,
not the young people.
Not the young people.
Yeah.
There's a very soon time, a very near future, where people are going to be advertising on nothing but Reels and TikTok, and they're going to be buying property with crypto and NFTs. And if we don't learn it ahead of time, we'll either suffer or we'll pay a premium for it because we didn't learn.
I agree. I keep saying that I need to get on TikTok. I watch it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll watch and laugh, and I think it's hysterical. But marketing for my business,
Yeah.
I'm not quite there yet. But my young one, the 18-year-old, she's leaving this summer. So if I'm going to do it, I got to do it before
Yeah.
she goes. Otherwise, I'm going to come in here and steal coal away from you.
There you
And-
go. You can come in and use Cole as a resource whenever you need. We're Harvest family.
Oh, I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
So what's the craziest crypto story that you've heard from any of your contemporaries, as far as, you know?
So the one of the two founders of my company, Matt Poole, he started with a $10,000 investment in Doge.
Okay.
And he was using our indicators that we use to buy and sell. And he was saying to a lot of people that were in his circle, like, this thing's going to move. Like, I am seeing it. It's tracking that way. People weren't believing him. And so he said, all right, if I can make enough money to buy a Lamborghini, including the taxes, I'm going to do it. Like, kind of as a,
Sure.
like, I'll show you to his friends. He started with a $10,000 investment and then leveled in at other places. Ended up making $445,000
Nice.
in, I can't recall the time period exactly, but months.
Yeah, not a long period of time.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Using the indicators that we teach people how to use. So, you know, that's a great story, and his Lambo's great and all that.
Nice.
He actually told me later, he said, you know, it's not really as much fun as you would think it would
No.
be. He's like, you know, where are you going to park and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, he got to
You won the
keep
bet?
to the bet
Uh-huh.
and, you know, be a little showy about his
Sure.
wins. But, you know, that's one of the ways that we use our indicators is for looking for those long-term runs. Now, most of what I do personally is in and out quickly. Like I said, I'm a day trader, but with crypto, there is longer term opportunities.
So I'm a total crypto novice. I have a couple of coins I don't want to talk about. But my thought process is, when I look at everything, Bitcoin is, of course, the king of all kings. But every time I look at anything that I see on crypto, it's always based in Ethereum. When you're looking at you're buying something, you're looking at what you're trying to do, when you're going to trade something, when you're buying NFTs, it's got to be through Ethereum. So my thought process is, if everybody's basing everything on Ethereum, I would assume that eventually Ethereum would have to be as valuable as Bitcoin, because that's what everybody needs to trade. No?
I don't know if I would say that. I mean, they behave pretty similarly to each other. So for one to catch up to the other, I don't know that that's going to happen. But I do feel as though if you're in a buy and hold position,
Right.
long
Long-term,
term,
10, 15 years from now, I got $100,000 to buy Bitcoin or $100,000 to buy Ethereum. Which one would I buy?
oh my gosh, I'd have to pull up the charts and really
Come
take a
on.
look.
Just go from the gut. What would you say?
Oh,
I mean, I look at it like anything else. It's the same reason I buy silver instead of gold. You can buy, Ethereum's about roughly $3,000. So you can
Right.
buy, 33 coins versus 1 1/4. So I would always think that the appreciation would be more on that, but I could.
not necessarily, just because
Right.
something is lower priced. I mean, it's percentages, either one could go up 1,000%, which is what you want.
Sure.
Do
Do you
probably.
actually, do you think Bitcoin could go up 1,000% from where it's at right now, $53,000 to be,
And he's recording
a
this.
million?
You said.
You didn't know you were coming to get on the hot seat.
Damn, it is getting a little. I would say that with crypto, because it is, we're still in the infancy.
Sure. It could be anything.
It could be anything,
nothing
really.
in 5
Like-
years, or it could be the whole wide world, and,
Yeah.
and the dollar could be gone.
Yeah.
You
So
don't
don't
really
bet don't bet the farm.
Never.
But if you have $10,000 sitting around that you're like, yeah, I really don't need it, and if I lost it, it wouldn't
Right.
hurt me. Go
Yeah.
ahead into one of the.
There's
one of the
really
big
no
things.
difference between that and if you have $10,000 in the stock market. I mean, it's all relative. I don't-
Except for a lot of people would say the stock market is just about to.
Yeah.
That will have an impact
Sure.
on crypto as well, but it'll be different. There will be people getting into crypto. There's kind of the people that get into gold when the stock market takes
Right.
a dive. There will be people getting into crypto when the stock market takes a dive. And I mean, most people think it's coming.
Yeah, yeah. And so I heard a little bit of rumors all the time. You see stories about somehow, some way, the government is going to try and regulate crypto.
Don't you think?
Well,
doesn't that make sense because they have to get their hands into
so
everything?
the bully always wants to be in control,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're, the whole philosophy, the mafia, the mob, whatever, if somebody's around there making money, somebody wants their hand in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the government is the bully. So I would say yes, but it seems like the people that are in on that kind of stuff have a way to screw them over and circumvent them, and they'll do things like the AMC and the other stuff where when a hedge fund goes in there to go and hurt somebody, they'll tank them. They'll know exactly what they need to do to bankrupt some rich people. And I think that if they try to overstep their boundaries, I think this will be one of the ways that we can power to the people revolution against the big bankers.
I think you and I speak the same language,
think so.
don't we?
Yeah, I think so. I'm hoping so anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be a really
Power
cool
to the
thing.
people. I
Yeah.
actually say it all the time. Like, when is our time?
Yeah. Yeah.
I talk about the middle 80%. Like, there's the 10% over here that I don't get, and the 10% over here that I don't get, but the middle 80,
Right.
like, we should all be in it together.
Yeah. And we are powerful if we stay together and
Yeah, we are.
and work it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
All right. Personal question.
Yep.
that I ask one question every time.
Okay.
Okay. You win $1 million tomorrow. What are you spending on?
Ooh, $1 million tomorrow. I have almost always had a beach house in my life, and I don't have one right now.
Okay.
And so I'm so jonesing getting a beach house back.
Okay.
And there's a lot of good that we could be doing in the world.
Sure.
So, there are certainly charities that I would love to support at a higher level.
With what's left over
if
after
I
the
had
beach house.
after the beach, which
Right. After the beach
$1 million,
house.
how much is left over? Like, come on, it's the
Yeah.
Jersey Shore.
Right, depends what shore you're at. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wildwood, you get a beach house for,
That's true.
Nice.
That's true. Well, you're not seeing the beach house that's in
Yeah,
my
you
mind, though,
might
too.
have a different beach house than me.
Yeah,
Right,
it's pretty
right.
sweet.
Awesome. And thanks for coming to the neighborhood.
Thanks for having me,
Awesome,
Jim.
great talking. And if the people want to get in touch with you, ask you some questions, give them your information so they can give you a call or give you an email.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Anne, ANNE, at currencytradesystem.com. And I'll put up my cell phone number. You're welcome to call me or text me. I'm very accessible. 609-471-3655.
Thanks for coming on. See you guys next week.